Stephanie. Stephanie, tell them a little bit about yourself. I write my cheat sheet.
Sure, okay. Well, I've been a nurse for about 12 weeks.
Here you go, you get the microphone.
Oh, yeah. Well, first, it's nice to meet everybody. I've been a nurse for about 12 years now. Just finished nurse practitioner school this spring, so this is my first job with him. But I did most of my clinical work with him at different areas, like different practices with him. So if you see me around, I'll be here probably Thursdays with him mostly. Oh, okay. I'll be here on Thursdays with him to see patients.
They tell you.
Yeah, but it's nice meeting everybody. You know, and if you need anything, I guess just let us know, you know.
That's pretty good. Keep talking. Tell them a joke or something. I just have to put this on so that
I don't know any lame dad jokes, so.
Okay. Tell them that you know Homeo and you know Joanne.
Okay, and I do know Homeo and Joanne, the other nurse practitioners, if anybody has met them.
I think they all know Joanne.
Okay. Do you guys all know Joanne? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And I just wanted to get this, guys, because this is really important for what we're going to talk about. And my memory isn't what it used to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Does everybody come to his lectures often? This is the first one I've been to.
How many years I've been doing it? I can't even keep track. Suicide and... Alright. Alright, now you can sit down. Alright, guys. Today's topic is how to stay healthy in 2026. Uh-oh, did I lose the top? There it goes.
It's over there on the table.
I'll find it at the end. I do this pretty much every year to give everybody an example of the major causes of death in the United States, things that we have seen change, and then ultimately try to give you the opportunity to recognize the healthy things that are out there today for us and take advantage of them in 2026 so you feel better this year than you did last year. And I have to tell you how it started. My daughter got married out of the country, which I think that was bad enough on me. But then the worst of it was they said, you can't walk her down the aisle as fat as you are, Dad. And I was like, well, what does that mean? So I lost 26 pounds. Happy to say I put 19 back on, okay? Because I couldn't stay away from pasta. That was my downfall. What we're going to talk about at the end, not the end, the middle of all this is the new approach is actually use your brain. And we're going to talk about ways that you can control your health. And the fact that I just recently went through it is what made me want to talk about this today as we start the year. Okay, so what I wrote down while Stephanie was talking to you was the most top 10 causes of death in America for 2025. And there were over 3 million people died. And the ratio's getting closer. It used to be men died a lot earlier than the women. And so what you would find if there was 3 million, you'd probably have 2 million men and 1 million women. Now that's all catching up. And I think the reason it's catching up, at least statistically, is they talk about the stress factor. And so what happens when you have stress is everything inside tightens up and it increases the pressure. It's kind of like putting your finger on the garden hose and the pressure goes up. Those are the kind of things that I want to emphasize today so that everybody pays attention to things they can do to lessen their stress. All right, so everybody follow me? You guys ready? This is a big one now, guys. 3,089,000 people died last year in America. These were the numbers I was showing you. It's not as far off as it used to be between men and women, okay? Number 1 cause is still heart disease. Number 2 cause is all cancers. This one's interesting is when we talk about accidents, guess what's the number 1 accident in America today? Or what causes the most accidents in America today? Who?
Falling.
Close.
Falling down the stairs.
texting while driving. It was 6 last year. You follow me? In 2004, accidents were number 6. If you've heard the commercials, that's why you hear the commercials. I like the one where they say, like the cat does all these different things, but the cat doesn't drive and text. You know, just to try to get your mind out there to think about it. But once again, guys, it's devastating, you know, because if you read the literature from Verizon and some of these other places, they knew that was going to be a risk of the whole process that they went through. And I found for the first time, I hit a door. I was walking in the house texting, and I ran right into a door because I wasn't paying attention. You know, so please realize, that's why I go over this stuff. Number 4, CVA stands for cerebral vascular accident, otherwise known as a stroke. Number 5, Alzheimer's, and we've talked about that before. Number 6, diabetes. Number 7 is influenza. And I put a V for vaccine because that was all lumped together. A lot of people that had got the disease and then or got the shot and still ended up with disease and got respiratory failure, they ended up passing on. And still, if you've had you've had the shot, you had the booster, you had all those things, but if you get a respiratory disease and you have other medical illnesses, and we'll talk about that's how we're going to stay healthy in 26, is paying attention to that. All right, everybody with me? This one I put COPD, chronic pulmonary disease, because what we find with this one is it's real close to the influenza, vaccine related. These are all pulmonary. And COPD, when I first started this, was number 3. So what does that tell us? Less people are smoking, and there's better medications out there to keep the airways open. Okay, so pay attention to how this lines up. This one still gets me. Suicide is too many, too often, and sad. I'm going to forget the name of it's on Branch School Road. It's a church off of Branch School Road. If anybody happens to know the name of it, just yell it out. But I had a good friend, his 20-year-old son, when his son turned 19, his wife divorced him and moved to California. When he turned 19, he was allowed to come back and stay with the father. At 20 years old, the father came home from work. He works nights. Said he was going to get a McDonald's sandwich. Did he want one? His name is Dominic. And he said no. Father bought him anyhow. So he comes home. Dominic, I got your sandwich. Dominic, I got your sandwich. He goes upstairs. He hung himself. And what was amazing was it'll hit me the name of the place. The pastor there was remarkable, and he talked about Dominic was on a website, a suicide website. And you guys, have you seen the emojis where people clap their hands on the emojis? They start out naming the successful suicides, and everybody claps. And so it's a thing that's going on with the internet and the chat rooms and all those kinds of things that we're not paying attention to. And apparently the children don't have anything better to do. They get into some of these things, and it's all mind control. But again, guys, suicide had never been at this point. All right, last one, liver disease. And guess what? Do you think it's alcohol? What is it? You got it. Ooh, you guys listen. From fructose corn syrup. Are you guys reading labels? Seriously, are you reading labels? You have to, guys. Yeah, you have to read labels. 2 things about fatty liver disease. Number 1, preventable. Number 2, reversible. What does that mean? That means quit eating anything with fructose corn syrup in it. Is that easy? No, it's in everything. Literally, it's in everything. You have to read the label, then find something. Salad dressings, ketchup. I think ketchup was one of them. Heinz has it. Hunt's doesn't. You follow me? So you just have to look on the shelves, and I don't think necessarily it's more expensive, but it's something that you have to do because it's real. And guess what the problem is about that? The age of liver disease in 2010, that was pre-Obamacare. 2010, the age of liver disease average, 45. You know what the average is today? 22. Children. And think about it. What's fructose corn syrup? Candy, soda, cereal. You know, these are our children. And no one pays attention. I have a daughter that's a veterinarian. She still drinks, what's that stuff called? Mountain Dew. You know what I mean? It's so frustrating because the intelligence doesn't matter. The taste does. And to people, they think the taste of fructose corn syrup is equivalent or better than sugar. And you can't change somebody's taste. But that's why I put it up. The thing I wanted you to walk away with from this is the texting, the suicide, and this is fructose corn syrup. And once again, this is getting closer than it's ever been. I think what is that, 300,000? And it was always at least around 1 million, 1.2 million difference, where men were dying and women weren't, and that was the ratios. So they're catching up. And what do they talk about? Stress, you know, and it's amazing. What I find is when you don't have something and you miss it, then you look out for, wow, what did I have? And for all the guys that are my patients know that when I had the Homeos, the Joannes and Danas of the world, my life was real simple because I didn't have to do anything but see the patient. They took care of everything else. Well, then when you lose that and you realize what you've lost, it's hard to find that. And so what I like to make sure everybody pays attention to, this is a real number. And what is the stress that you have and how are you dealing with it? And we're going to talk about all that, guys, because now this is the snapshot I wanted everybody to have. 3 million people died. The ratios have changed. Accidents, and again, the biggest one is texting and suicides. Never used to be on the board like that, so it's frustrating. All right? So health in 2026. What's the most important thing? Hey, look at that. Almost caught it. What's the most important thing? Now, you have to talk to your doctor, okay? If by some chance you have congestive heart failure or other heart disease or kidney disease or your medications make it so you can't drink that, so you have to check with your doctor, but this is generally what you have to do. And how many people, I don't want to show hands, but how many people will go to water first, okay? And the reason I'm telling you that is, that's what I'm doing now. So even though I put 19 pounds back on, I feel better. And it's drinking all the water and making myself drink all the water all the time. And I did find out what it felt like. When you drop 25 pounds, your knees don't hurt. You know, like things change physically in your body. And that's what we're gonna talk about now. It's not a secret, but no one talks about it. So that's why I call it the secret. So the secret is making sure that you use one part of your body that most of us don't pay attention to. What does that mean? What's this? Brain, frontal lobe. We'll put the temporal lobe over here. This is the occipital lobe up here. And, parietal lobe and occipital lobe here. And then we'll put down here cerebellum. And this is spinal cord. Remember the game we play in here? I don't remember what we look at. I think it's the G. If you're looking at the G and you bring your pointer finger in front of your eye to the G, that focus takes 350 milliseconds. Okay? Milliseconds. How fast does that work and how does it work that fast? The brain is 90% water, your body's 70% water. And if you're not drinking 8 to 10 glasses, if your doctor allows you, then you're not helping that process. Remember what we're talking about. This is the secret to staying healthy. You have to use your brain. Your brain is what tells you to eat. Your brain is what tells you not to eat. And again, guys, I just proved it. How did I lose all the weight? I quit eating pasta. I've already had pasta twice today. Okay? I mean, it's like, it's a bad habit I grew up with. When I would walk into my grandmother's house, and I'm talking a big plate, guys, I guarantee you couldn't eat it. And when she put the second one on, if you didn't finish, she thought you were sick and she tried to give you castor oil. You follow me? Like, that's how I grew up. It's habits. It's habits. Where do the habits come from? The brain. And that's the piece that we want to make sure we take away from today, so that you at least attempt to do it as best you can. Because if you use your brain related to your health, you will find yourself in situations that you think, boy, that wasn't as hard as I thought. But what happened to me, and I have to say that I was doing good after the wedding, everything was great. My kids came home for the holidays. And what happens? Pasta, pasta, pasta. I mean, I was good. I was really good. I went into cannellini beans. I used those instead of pasta. So I would pour the white spaghetti over that or the sauce over that. Worked out perfect. And I was drinking tons of water. Okay? But again, guys, pay attention. This is how the brain functions, and the speed at which it does is what I showed you, 350 milliseconds. All this works together to keep everything functioning, and what happens? What are we putting in? Okay? Who decides what you're putting in your mouth? You. Okay? Who are you? Your brain. Your brain decides what you're putting in the mouth. And we've all had that. The hell did I eat that for? You don't even know you ate it. It's a habit. And all those habits, we have to pay attention going in now to 26. This is what you have to do. You have to make sure that you're using your brain. I don't know if you guys remember all my stories I tell, but I talked about the day I admitted a 101-year-old and a 103-year-old. And the 103-year-old, when she saw me do this, she said, if I'd have known that you used a flip-top phone, I would have picked another doctor. She was on her 4th iPhone at 103. She used her brain. And when I said, what's your secret? She said, Dr. Coppola, you gotta cry every day, you gotta think every day, and you gotta laugh every day. And I said, she was a nurse. I said, what do you mean? You're a doctor and you don't even know that? And I said, she goes, use your brain. Crying is good. Laughter is better. And thinking we all need to do every day. I said, so what do you do? She goes, have you seen a movie recently that brought a tear to your eye? And I had just watched Brian's song, Brian Piccolo. You guys remember that whole thing with Gail Sarah? I had just watched it. And I mean, I wasn't bawling, but I had a little, in fact, my kids comment, Dad's crying, you know, one of those kind of things. So you watch something that brings a tear. What is that, an emotion? What is the emotion? It's a stimulus of the brain. That's a good thing. She said, who gets the mail? I said, I do. What do you do with it? Give the bills to my wife, keep the checks, and throw the other junk mail away. And she says, don't throw the junk mail away, read it. I said, what do you mean? It makes you think. She said, then you can throw it away, but at least read it to make you think. It's using your brain. And she goes, and you know laughter's the best medicine. And I said, all right, what do you recommend? America's funny video, or whatever they call it. And I have to admit, after she told me that, I bet 3 or 4 weeks went by. I laugh. I mean, you hit it, you play it. It's funny. Again, what is laughter? It's an emotion stimulated in the amygdala of the brain. Blood flows. You follow what I'm telling you. You have to use your brain for all the things that it's capable of. And I've never forgot what she said. And those 3 things are so vital to every day. Not that you want to be boo-hooing the whole time, and not that you want to be watching the the comics all night or any of that kind of stuff, but please incorporate it into using your mind, okay? So the brain is pretty important in this, all right? Now, the other things is 3 hots, snack, and a cot. Probably spelling that wrong. Where does that come from?
Jail.
Pardon me?
Jail, when the first got us 3 lots and a cot.
Jail, that's cool, that's one of them. The other one, Army. Okay, this all came from the cadets. All the data that you can look up from the cadets. Okay, their routine that they have, you have to attend the meals, you have to get the snack, and you sleep on the cot. But you have to go to bed at a certain time. I went to a place called Kiski Prep. It was a school that we boarded there. And we had to wear a tie, you had to be on time for everything, or you got what they called an hour. And if you had so many hours, it related to the week. So say it was the 5th week of the semester and you had 7 hours, you weren't going anywhere. So it was a way to discipline you to do things like make your bed, clean your room, do all the things that you had to do. But the point I'm trying to make is that this is what is normal, okay? This is for sleep. Snack. Anybody that's diabetic knows you take one at night. Does that mean because we're not diabetic we don't have to? No. We'll talk about the whys and wherefores of the meals. 3 hots, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What's breakfast? What's it mean? Breaking the fast. What does that mean? You slept all night, or whatever part of the night you slept. You didn't eat anything. And you're gonna get up. Your body needs energy. And I love people say, oh, I don't eat breakfast. All right? But they'll snack on junk when they walk into work. They eat a donut. Sugar, that breakfast, sugary donut is not good breakfast. Everybody follow me? All right, so you need breakfast, lunch, and dinner for what? For the machine. For everything to work. You have to have this. Now, what is important to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Healthy. What does that mean? I told you guys about my patient. He loved McDonald's. He works at the jail. 6'6", 340 when I met him. Morning, 3 Egg McMuffins meals with soda, and then what's that big breakfast called? With hotcakes. That was his breakfast. At lunch, 3 sandwiches, another big Coke. Dinner, same thing. Sandwiches and a Coke. And then whenever he wasn't working his overtime, he'd go home and eat something healthy that the wife made, okay? Fatty liver disease, diabetes, guess what? He's now down to about 225 pounds. He's off of insulin from his sugar. And he does not eat fructose corn syrup anymore. And what he did was he started working out. By him working out is walking, guys. We're going to talk about that. You know, we talked, I think, before. What is this? Exercise. You know, you don't have to run a marathon. You don't have to go out and run in the snow. You know, you can exercise so many different ways. And that was the Sit and Be Fit. You guys all know Mark. If you ever get a chance to talk to Mark about Dr. Coppola talking about Sit and Be Fit. I made a comment one time like, that's not exercise. And that came back to bite me because it is good exercise. All right, does everybody follow what I'm telling you? All right, so what's the most important thing to relieve your stress? Medicine, talking with somebody, holding it in. Holding it in. Which one is best? What if you don't have somebody to talk to? I'll put PCP. Talk to your doctor. Why is it important to talk to somebody? It's important that you verbalize what's stressing you out. And the concept is take control of your stress. Don't let the stress control you. And yet we all have stress. We all deal with stress. I call it noise. Every day it's something different. It's something new. It's something that's going on. I have 6 children. It used to be so easy. Sundays, 10 minutes apiece, hour, I'm done. Now sometimes the phone rings and I hesitate to pick it up because it could be a whole hour with just one of the children. But you realize, like, A, it's your responsibility, and B, the fact they're calling and talking to you, it's good to talk to them. But once again, what I'm emphasizing is stress is big for all of us. And if you have people, let's call it responsibilities, and I'll call it mishaps. My youngest son used to live with me. I have dogs, at the time cats, and a 400-yard or 400 feet driveway. And the garbage had to be out there on Thursday nights. So when my son was living with me, life was wonderful. He took care of the dogs, he took out the garbage, he made sure everything was where it was supposed to be. And then he left, and it was remarkable from my end that I didn't realize he was doing it the whole time he was there. Habit. We're all creatures of habit. So I would get up and not have to do anything. And we had the same schedules. Up early in the morning, by the time I'd come downstairs, dogs were fed, they were already out. If it was Thursday, the garbage was already out, everything was taken care of. And then all of a sudden you see you have to do it. Stress, okay? And what do we mean by stress? My wife works crazy schedules, like she's not home now. But the first thing she'll check when she gets home is the garbage cans outside. Did I remember to put the garbage out for Thursday? Okay, so I have to remember to do that tonight. Now, am I gonna remember? I hope so, but what happens when you forget? And of course, my wife thinks I do it on purpose, but it truthfully comes up to when you get busy and you have things that are going on, you find yourself in a situation where all of a sudden it's stress. Like right now, it's easy. While I'm thinking about it, I should go down and put them out there. But I haven't, I didn't, so tonight it'll stress me. Hopefully I remember it. If I forget it, stress. I bring that up as just one example because we all have it. All right? What's the antidote for stress? No, it's not alcohol. Does everybody know how to relax? What I found was amazing. And again, this all happened, let's say I'm cheapskate, okay? And my daughter wanted a destination wedding. And I was very, very upset that I had to spend all the money I spent for her to get married, okay? And what happened, I came up with a plan that got me through it. I had 8 tickets for the Steelers. I now only have 4. So I sold the rights to the tickets to pay for the wedding. Well, they're all upset at me. Dad, we wanted to go to the game. I said, yeah, and I wanted her to get married in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it works. But for me, I'm telling you guys, you can't imagine the stress. It was one of those, I'll give you an example. People that couldn't go to Italy, my wife had a party at the house. And she says to me on a Wednesday morning, I leave the house, it's dark, I come home, it's dark. And she says to me on Wednesday morning, she goes, hey, I left some money on the dresser, put it on the island, the carpenter's stopping by to pick it up. I said, what carpenter? The carpenter that put the decks on. What decks? You didn't even notice the decks? So I'm on the phone with her still. I go downstairs, turn the lights on. I got these 2 huge decks in the back of my house, and I didn't even know they were there. And that is like, and that was, when was the party? May, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, where did this come from? And then ultimately, what's coming still? And that's where I came up with the idea that I'm just gonna sell the tickets, you know? And now what happens? Tomlin's gone, they're gonna get good again. All right, but again, guys, the reason I'm emphasizing this is, as you're gonna see as we go through this, stress is one of the biggest factors, or let's call it obstacles, in succeeding in what you're trying to accomplish. And the only way you handle it, oh, I took that off, the other page. How do you handle stress? Medicines, if you have to go there, holding it in, you don't ever want to do, talking with somebody. What does that mean, talking with somebody? You just like walk up to someone you never met before and start talking to them? No. Do you talk to a family member or a friend? My advice? No. Okay? It's like I tell people that are going to lose weight or quit smoking, don't tell anybody. Because once you tell somebody, they expect something out of you that becomes even more stressful. I thought you quit. I saw you smoking. I thought you said you quit smoking. Pay attention. It's important. Okay? So let's get back to relaxation. All right? In the body, we have blood vessels, and they have muscles in them. So they can get that thin or that fat. Okay? And because of that muscle in the artery, it can contract and constrict, dilate and open up. And it's all regulated by the carotid receptors in your neck. So as soon as you stand up, remember 350 milliseconds, that's how fast the signal gets sent. And so the body's pressure goes up when you stand up so you don't fall back. Okay, everybody understand? I'm bringing up all these bodily functions and what the brain does so that you get the water in there that you need. And we got to start thinking a little bit different as we approach stress. Is everybody following what I'm saying so far? All right? So pay attention. What's the relaxed state of the blood vessels? That's normal. And that's where we want them. We won't want them dilated because the blood pressure can go down. We don't want them constricted because the blood pressure can go up. How can you, and I don't want anybody to do this until they talk to their doctor. How can you relax? Very simple. I do not do this until you talk to your doctors. Okay? Breathing exercises can get you to relax. How? In the body, we got nerves. The one for your feet, your big toe, is in the parietal lobe. We'll use the right big toe. Everybody wiggle their right big toe. You guys wiggling it? All right. You just stimulated the longest nerve in the body. And it's 350 milliseconds for that as well. Okay? So that's the speed at which it can work. If you have the water, 90% in the brain, and 70% of our body is water. You have to have the water in. Not decaffeinated tea, not regular tea, water. It has to be water. Everybody understand that because it's important, guys, for everything we're going to talk about. All right, so please make sure we're going for normal and we want water. And remember what I just told you to do, wiggle your toes? That's the kind of exercise we're going to talk about today. Anybody ever heard of isometrics? Okay, remember what I said? That's exercise. Isometrics is the same thing. That wiggle of the big toe we're talking about, now push that big toe against the chair, the edge of the wall. As you push on it, that's exercise. Does everybody follow me? I'm giving you some real simple exercises to do that end up being very positive for your brain. Does everybody follow what I'm telling you? Okay. All right, so now, what other relaxation things? I'm going to call it a cat nap. My grandfather smoked and drank every day of his life, and he lived to 92 years old. And everybody said, how? He woke up in the morning, waking everybody up because he smoked all his life. So he'd be hacking at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. But we all grew up on a farm and he had chores to do, so everybody just got up. Okay? And then every day, 1 o'clock, he took a nap till 1:30, quarter till 2. And then he would go get my grandmother's sisters. Everybody would have dinner at 4. He'd come back about 6, take another nap. Okay? And then he'd go to bed probably about 9 o'clock, up at 5. He napped 3 times. I'm telling everybody because I watched it. I saw it. I had a professor when I was in Baltimore, Dr. Micaiah Spraggins, wonderful man. This was at Hopkins. He ran the pediatric department at Hopkins. And one of the residents set me up. I was doing my sub-internship. And he goes, hey, they changed the date of such and so in-service test, and you're on call. So go tell Spraggins that you're not going to be able to be there. What time did they tell me? 1:15. He napped from 1 o'clock to 1:30 every day. They told me something. Beating on the door. No answer. Beating on the door. No answer. I finally start to walk away, and the door flies open. And he's in pajamas with a cap on his head. And everything, I had to bite my tongue not to laugh. And he's like, what the hell do you want? And when I told him, he said, which resident? And then he started laughing because he knew they set me up. But again, one of the most brilliant men I've ever met in my life. Napped every day. What does sleep do? It relaxes you. Now, am I telling everybody, go home and take a nap? No. Because some people, when you take the nap, then you can't sleep at night. But I'm telling you that relaxation could be all but falling asleep. Find yourself a nice, comfortable place, your couch, your chair, whatever it happens to be. Think about good thoughts, or they call guided imagery. You know, where you walk through in your mind's eye something that's pleasurable to you. And again, guys, the reason I'm emphasizing it is because it's that simple. So sleep. Now, do we need 8 hours? Preferred. Nap, how long? Half hour to 1.5 is what I recommend. What's a cat nap? My father was a physical therapist, and then he got his PhD in physical therapy, and he did what was called EMGs, electromyography, checking the muscles to see if there was a problem in the spine. And so he used to work, then he'd come home. We always ate at 6 o'clock, always ate at 6 o'clock. And sometimes he'd come up to me and he'd say, wake me up at 6:40. And it was already 6:30. And I would think, what? But he'd go in, lay down, 6:40, I'd go up, wake him up, and 10 minutes, it was amazing how much more awake he seemed to be. So that's the concept of a cat nap. What happens? When your body goes to sleep, you have what's called REM and non-REM eye movements. And your body can get into that within 6 to 8 minutes. So there is a benefit, once again, to the stress, even to a cat nap. But I caution everybody, the most important part of sleep is bedtime. So I don't want anybody napping and then all of a sudden you're not sleeping your normal 4, 5, 6, 8, whatever amount of hours you're generally sleeping now. But it's good for relaxation. Does everybody follow me? All right, another one that I like a lot for relaxation. Anybody ever heard of Nucalm? Nucalm. Look it up. It's not bad, and if you're a stressed out person and you can't relax, it's worth it. It's an app on an iPhone, or they sell it and it's pretty cheap now. When I got involved with it, it's one of the girls that I used to work with that did lectures for me, with me. Like she'd set them all up and then I would just go give them. And what it is, she told me about it. She said it was invented by a psychologist for dentists because the patients were scared and stressed to get their procedures done. And it actually, the documentation showed that he used less anesthesia to do some of the procedures once he started to do the new calm. You put, like, were they glasses? Yeah, they were glasses. And so if you open your eyes, it's black. You don't see anything. You lay in an overstuffed chair, you lay back, and then they set the timer. And she said, how long do you want to try it? And I said, give me a half hour. So I stopped my phone so no one could bother me. I laid it on the side. An hour and 45 minutes, she came down to wake me up because she thought, you know, you didn't want to stay relaxed that long. Unbelievable, guys. And it wasn't music. It was sounds. And I can't, if anybody ever took a hearing test, you'll get different sounds at the hearing test. That's what it most reminded me of, because it kind of came out of, like you're completely black, and all of a sudden you think you hear a sound like back here, and then all of a sudden it travels, and then another sound would come. It was remarkable how the sounds intermixed. And again, it was not music, just these sounds that were so relaxing. It was incredible. You know, this is in the middle of the day. I thought I was just going to, I think it was like 12:30 or something. And I just thought I was going in there just to test this out because I didn't want to tell somebody to use it unless I at least saw what it was. So again, guys, it's called NuCalm, is the one I know of because I personally did it. But it's another means of relaxation. Okay? Another thing that they have is, what would I call it? Positional comfort. And usually a physical therapist may be the person to find the best spot for you, because we're not all as capable of moving around like we once were. And so maybe in the attempt to find that spot, you don't want to hurt yourself. But what the therapist can do is they check the range of motion, your neck, your shoulders, your elbow, everything. So they find out what is not fluidly moving, and you avoid that side. But what they can find is, they talk about, if you're a side sleeper, putting 2 pillows between your legs. And what that does, the knees aren't touching, the thighs aren't touching, and just opening up that space relaxes both hip joints. And again, usually they're inflamed once we hit about 50 years old nowadays. So again, the relaxation of those joints might be positional comfort. Does everybody follow me? And it's worth looking into to find what's the best comfort zone for you to help sleep. Because I have a lot of patients that'll say, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't sleep. And then when you find their posture and position through the day, a lot of us don't have good posture, a lot of us are not in good positions. Some people just to watch TV, their TV's over here and they're sitting here, so they're stretching this way the whole day. Stuff like that that we don't pay attention to can cause the stress. Because remember, if you strain a muscle, strain any kind of body part, it leads to pain coupled with inflammation. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, so everybody understand what I'm talking about. Please, to find out what your positional comfort is, therapists are good with it. I'm sure Mark can help you guys here, because you guys have that service right here with us. All right? So sound is the NuCalm. Relaxation with positional comfort is good. And then this is the one I think is the best. No show of hands. Who dreams? Who doesn't dream? Okay? What that means is you're capable of dreaming because you know you've dreamt here and there. When you're not dreaming, especially if you try to, I don't know if you guys do it, but sometimes I have some good dreams. So when I go to bed, I try to think of what I was dreaming the night before. And it's amazing. Sometimes it'll come back. But the point still is, that's a good place to be in dream state, okay? And so what you want to be able to do is, if you've had a dream, do your best to recall it. think of the people that were in it. And then when you go to bed that next night, try to think of those people again. Because it's amazing, guys. It's so relaxing. I guess that's what I would describe it as. You know, for me personally, I found out from a guy by the name of Dr. Ayash. He's a psychiatrist I work with. And he asked me, okay, tell me a dream. And I told you I grew up on a farm, and we had an apple tree, and the road curved around. And my cousin, who's a professional golfer, and my brother, who unfortunately died of alcohol, the three of us together would always get into mischief. So my grandmother and grandfather said they were just running to the store. So we filled up a bushel basket of apples, and we threw the apples at the cars. Okay? Well, unfortunately, we hit a guy that had a nice car, and my grandfather had to pay money to fix it and all that kind of stuff. But the point came back to, I've had that dream before, you know, because my grandmother never got mad at me, ever. And she was so disappointed because she taught the guy when he was in school. So she was embarrassed that, you know, her grandson, great-grandson, just grandson, threw an apple, okay? But the point is, it's been a while since I dreamt it, but when I dream it, because my cousin and I were very close, my brother and I were very close, and neither one of them, my cousin's around in where's he at now? Chicago. But you think about different things, and sometimes I'll focus on that, and that dream will come up, you know, like where you run. Like that was the best part of it. You throw, it's almost like throwing snowballs at cars. You hear boom, you know, the snowball hitting the car. And then if you hear a screech of a tire, you're running. You know? And then when your grandmother sees you running through the yard, where you guys thought, oh, we were chasing a deer or a rabbit or something. But the point is, dreaming is good, okay? And I think that if you are dreaming, try to remember what the dream was about. And if you can remember people or places, try to bring it back. Because you'll be surprised. You can't, guys. I'm telling you. I want to say it's the power of the brain that we're not tapping into. It depends on who you read. They say Einstein used anywhere from 9 to 11% of his brain. And he was often thought to be the most intelligent person in the world. And so again, we have these opportunities, and that's what I want to focus on as we've been doing so far. All right, so please remember, this was the sound piece for the new calm. There's positional comfort for those that don't sleep well. And what you find is that you may need some help finding it. I'll talk to Mark and say that someone might be contacting him. I'll get a hold of him today because it's real simple to find. You know, you lay on one of the beds and you turn to your right or you turn to your left, and you let someone know you're belly sleeper, back sleeper, right side, left side. Do you turn at night? Don't turn at night. All those things are important for the person that's going to help guide you. And then you find the position. And like I said, one of the ones that I've seen, and I've probably been doing this now about 6 months, is pillows between the legs, taking away knee on knee, thigh on thigh, and you get relief of the potential pain or discomfort you're getting from your hip, quote unquote, inflammation while you're trying to sleep. And it can really help. The other thing, just on that line of sleep, chamomile tea. I'm spelling it wrong, I'm sure. And lavender. That same big guy I was talking about, I sent him to Dr. Betsy O'Neill, a friend of mine that does integrated medicine, and that's what she uses for sleep. You spray your pillow with lavender. No, boil your water for your tea. Pour the tea into the cup, and while it's still hot, spray your pillow with lavender. Then you drink the tea, go into your room, get ready for bed, spray the pillow with lavender again. And what I'm told from the patients that have used it is they stay asleep longer. They get to sleep pretty readily, and they're staying asleep longer. And sleep helps the stress, guys. Okay? Everybody following me so far? All right. Now we get into the nitty-gritty. All right, stress, meds. Talk to somebody. And what have I found fairly recently that helps a lot? I'm going to spell it wrong. Hip, no, and then this is what I do, I scribble. Hypnotist. Okay? Amazing. And she started working for me again. Anybody know Kathy? Red-haired nurse used to work for me years ago. She retired. And long story short, she's doing every Tuesday night again. Okay? And what's funny was she ran the Eastern Star home in Ross Township. When it was there, she was the director of nursing. And so they threw a Christmas party. Name's on the tip of my tongue right now, but they brought a hypnotist who he apparently hypnotized me because she showed me pictures. Okay? I was on all fours barking like a dog. And I still kept denying it, and then all of a sudden she had one of those Polaroid cameras. There I am on all fours barking. You know, you can see my mouth open like I was barking. So I believe that you can be hypnotized, someone can get into your brain. So I had a patient, guy was a fantastic photographer. If you go down to AGH today, in the hallways where you see the pictures of bridges, those were his photographs. So this guy was awesome. His wife died, he lost it, stressed out, always anxious, and we tried medicines, we tried psychiatrists, we tried everything. And Kathy said, Stiles, Dr. Stiles. She said, send him to Dr. Stiles. I said, what's he gonna do? He does a good job, he gets into your head. That's what she said. I go, what? You were barking like a dog and you didn't even know it. That's what she said to me. So I said, and what's great, he takes a recording, a tape of it. So you go in, you talk, he tapes the whole thing, and then he gives it to you. So when you get these anxiety spells, you just listen to the tape, and it works. So once again, I have meds here, talk to somebody. Before I get anybody into medications for their stress that is causing them troubles, I'd see the hypnotist. Finally, if that hasn't worked, then you have to see, I'm spelling it wrong. There's an H in there somewhere. Psychiatry. Scribbling again, okay? Why do you have to see a psychiatrist? Does that mean you have a problem? No. Why can't you just see a psychologist? Because they don't have the expertise, okay? They're well-trained, they're very good, they can listen well, they can guide you, they can give you a lot of information, but the psychiatrist has the gift. You trust them, of course, they get into it. Like, we just had a patient, Steph probably recalls, the lady in 55. If you read that note, did you know anything that was in there before that note? I mean, because it was incredible what this guy picked up in 20 minutes. And I've had her as a patient for 8 or 9 weeks. Why? I never asked the question. I never asked. And now I understand her stress. And that's the whole point to, you need to talk to somebody. And I don't say if you're not sleeping now 8 hours a night and you don't feel that you're relaxed that you need to see a psychiatrist. I'm not saying that at all. I'm talking about stress, our list that I'll go back over with you. The top 4 are definitely related to stress. And then when you get into Alzheimer's, there's a lot of discussion about stress and relationship. And so what we have to do is focus on, that's the secret. You gotta lower that stress. That's the ticket for good health. So what I wanna make sure of is that talk to somebody, not that you know, I would not say relative, friend, no. And by that, what I mean is, I'm sure your friend knows. If you have a good friend and you're stressed out over something, you know, the bill that came in, something a child did, something broke, whatever it happens to be, you may have already talked to somebody. I'm not saying don't talk to your friends about your life and what's going on. I'm just talking about to get relief of that stress. What you want to do, talk to somebody. I like the hypnotist first because it's all your thoughts and ideas. If that's not working for you, get to the psychiatrist because they have the ability to pull out information that we kind of repress. You know, that's the body's defense mechanism. When something happens and you don't like it and you don't want to think about it, you actively put it back there. Well, that actively putting it back there causes loss of energy. Everything is energy. So if you are repressing things on a regular basis, that's using up energy. So what does that mean? You're fatigued, you're exhausted, you're not ready to go. So please pay attention to that because it's important. All right, so what I want to do now, the secret, stress. How? What best word to use? This is yourself. Are we not honest with ourselves? So we have to be more honest. Are we not completely divulging everything to ourselves so that we have to now find a way to let that all out to yourself? Because generally, that's what causes the stress. What do I mean by that? I mean that something will happen. My little sister's in from New York City, and I only see her rarely because she's a character, number one, and number two, she's like one of those people you only take so much of. You know what I mean? Like after a period of time, okay, enough's enough. Lisa, take a break, chill. All right? But at the same time, what I found out last night talking to her, she's got a lot of stress with her daughter. That she came from Pittsburgh or New York to Pittsburgh to talk to me. Why? Because we got very close when we were younger. She's 14 years younger than I am. And one day I'm home from college and my mother says, drop him off at Ascension Daycare at 7 o'clock. So I pull up to the daycare, my younger brother runs out the steps, and my little sister's crying in the back. And I go, what's wrong? I don't want to go. I said, okay. I said, sister, she's going with me. So I take her with me. So my mother yells at me whenever I get home. And I go, wait a minute, I'm home. She doesn't want to go. She goes, well, I already paid for it. And I said, well, let's get your money back while I'm home. But the point still came down to that was a stressful situation. And here she's in another stressful situation. Her daughter got date raped. And like, I'm hearing about all this stuff thinking, how the hell does that happen? You know, it's like Syracuse College, she's on campus, she's at a party of some kind, and then you realize things happen. But it doesn't take away from the stress. And she had no one to talk to. She went to her PCP, who did recommend a psychiatrist. She went to see the psychiatrist. She also has MS. And all the different things that went on, she was just so frustrated. So I get a text, I'll be there the 13th, is what she said. Then we got a chance to talk last night, and I was blown away that she's holding all that stuff in, you know, because it happened last semester. And they've tried all the different things they could. The reason I bring it up though, guys, is we all have stress. And how do you handle it? And so she made an appointment. She's here till Sunday. She made an appointment, and what she's going to do is she's going to see Dr. Stiles wasn't around. She's seeing somebody else. But I'm going to use the word be open, honest with yourself. Scribble, okay? And you make a box or a sheet. You put the positive things and the negative things. What are the positive things? Maybe you're sleeping pretty good. What's the negative things? Eating 3 pounds of pasta a day. That's me. Okay? What are some more positive? Drinking water. What are the negatives? Fructose corn syrup. You follow me? What you have to do for 26, guys, keep a journal. Please keep a journal. I wish I would have. That same sister that's in visiting, she gave me that when I graduated from college or from medical school. She, like, I unwrapped it, and it's a book, I'm thinking. I go, and I open it up, and there's nothing there. And I go, what's this? And she goes, keep a journal from today forward. It's like, I don't need a journal, I have a great memory. I wish that I kept a journal. So that's my challenge to you for 26, is to be honest with yourself, to figure out the things that you know you're doing well and the things that you're not doing so well. And again, guys, it's not just food. Okay, we talked about that briefly. 3 meals, snack, and a cup. Drink, what you're drinking, what you're snacking on, salt intake, sugar intake, fructose corn syrup, urination, frequency of urination, hard to control, urination. All related. And again, those are the things that you don't readily know, but hopefully what we just talked about gives you the opportunity. Please keep the journal. And what do you want to put in the journal? When you open up your eyes, how do you feel? Write it down. Terrible, better, sore, headache, sore throat, like whatever it is, write it down. Then get up. How do you feel when you stand up? Oh, my knees are killing me, my back's killing me. I feel like I'm gonna fall back over. Put it down. And then some of the stuff we talked about, try, because what you're gonna see, you will see the improvement. That's the motivator. And that motivation is what's gonna guide you. And the secret, once again, is stress, okay? The part that, I sent you a text on an article, I don't know if you got it, but what it is it's a natural concoction for anti-inflammatory, okay? Honey, ginger, I think cinnamon's one of them. Bottom line is real simple, and it's like a tea. What you do is you put these ingredients in warm water, drink it. Data shows it increases blood flow not only to the brain but to the rest of the body, and it helps break up the inflammation. Okay, so Stephanie's here now, so I won't forget to make sure Karen gets it, because I heard a lot of times I tell them that doesn't come out. This one you have to see, because I'm seeing people that have dementia, not necessarily Alzheimer's. The one particular patient that I've been following, he's got what's called vascular disease, mini strokes they used to call them. And what it's done for him, I've already seen a change. And that's where I feel if it could benefit you and it won't hurt you, these are all natural things. None of it is a medication, none of it's prescription, and it does work. So relaxation, watching what the stress is, find a way to be honest with yourself, and you put your good stuff down. Don't forget the good stuff. Hopefully we're all doing a lot of good stuff, but then put down the stuff you know you need to change. For me, I know it's pasta, and I proved it for the wedding, but I still like it so much that, like I said, I already ate it twice today, the leftovers from last night and for lunch. And I know I shouldn't, and one of these days I hope I do, and I hope I don't get a heart attack or something in between. But please, guys, the one thing that I really feel is most important, if you're not watching the salt, the sugar, and the fructose corn syrup, and what we're drinking and what we're snacking on, it's in a good way saying if you're not paying attention to that, then you got a lot of room for improvement. Because just stopping that has made so much of a difference. And I told you about the one guy that was working at the jail. He reversed his fatty liver. I have another guy, friend of my son's, that helps out at the house, and his name's Zach. He's 36 years old. And when I got him as a patient and checked him out, we did a scan of his liver to show him that he had fatty liver. Yeah, he's eating wrong, drinking alcohol, and he stopped all of that, and he has no fat around his liver, and everything's perfect, and he's lost 30 pounds. So again, guys, it works is the bottom line. And again, why is it a secret? It shouldn't be. Everything I just said, all of us should know. It should be out and about for everybody to take advantage of. No one talks about the bad parts of fructose corn syrup. Sometimes they do. I don't know if you guys remember Super Bowl probably about 5 or 6 years ago. They showed a vat of fructose corn syrup being dropped off at like Miller Brewery or something. And the comment was, hey, this is your fructose corn syrup. And they were able to say, no, we don't have fructose corn syrup because it's in beer. If you haven't looked, it's even in beer. You know, it's in everything, guys. So again, the focus is stress. The secret is lowering the stress helps with all those diseases. And again, I'm just going to show it because from my end of it, the one that really blew me away. So talk to anybody you see texting. That should not be number 3. I mean, this is, like motor vehicle accidents are bad enough, but texting and driving is just wrong, you know, unless you have the one you can talk to. You know, like, I don't know if you guys have that app, like you can just have your phone on your dashboard and you can say text map and then talk and the text will come to me. But other than that, no texting. Okay, everybody with me? Good, all right. Now I'll get this top so I don't get yelled at. Any questions, guys? I put everybody to sleep today. All right, it's a good thing you met Stephanie now. So now you'll know a younger person than me will make sure for all my patients that haven't gotten what I said I was going to get, including now, we'll make sure this information's out there on how to break up the inflammation and more blood to the brain. Because and it's all natural stuff, guys. That's the part I liked about it. That's why I put the time and energy in to make sure I give it to Karen. Everybody's good? No questions? Good. See you guys next month. Thanks for having me.